This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Greetings from the Philippines to the world. We are on Facebook Live on Eagle News and Net25 TV and also on our streaming site, eaglenewslive.com. Watch us on our YouTube channel at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Join me discover the latest news and information and business around the world. Stay ahead of the curve from vision to action. Paano ba nakakatulong ang mga bangko sa pagninegosyo sa panahon ng pandemya? Ano nga ba ang serbisyo ng mga bangko na maaaring gamitin ng MSMEs para mapalago ang kanilang mga negosyo sa gitna ng krisis sa COVID? In this episode, we will talk about cash management system, which now has become a must-have platform for businesses to help track their finances and ensure their business goals remain on track. Pag-uusapan din natin ang DigiBanker for small to medium business ng Security Bank in this episode of Open for Business.
Rise up every Saturday morning sa mga balitang dapat mong malaman sa Agila, Pilipinas at Eagle News International. Sa Winner Saturdays, panalo naman ang hapon mo sa mga talento ng Pinoy sa kantahan sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2, Singing Edition at Letters and Music. Meron din sa mga sports lovers, EBC Sports International. And get to know more about entrepreneurship with Open for Business. Sa Weekends Prime, tuloy-tuloy ang pagbabalita sa mata ng Agila Weekend. Samahan naman si Miss Gladys Reyes Sumero sa kwentuhang pampamilya, Moments. At abangan ang bagong kwento na handog sa inyo ng Net25. Patutunayan na ang nakalimutan ng isip, naaalala ng puso. Ikaw ay akin. Mula umaga hanggang gabi, panalo ang Sabado mo. All that and more, only here on Net25.
This portion is brought to you by Security Bank.
Open for Business is back, and with me is the SVP of the Transaction Banking Group of Security Bank and the CFO of More Builders, Ms. Mylene Buencamino. Welcome to Open for Business. How are you, po?
I'm good. Thank you for having me in your show.
And,
Thank you, Cesar,
okay.
for having us.
It's very interesting that we are all talking about banking, and I think it's one of the sectors that was heavily hit during the pandemic. I myself use your products and services, and for some time, I never went to the bank anymore. Um, like I'm sure a lot of you don't go out, and we all are working from home. As a matter of fact, we're doing this interview right in the comforts of our home offices. So before maybe we talk about the services of Security Bank, I would just like to ask, what has changed in the banking industry, maybe for the past 2 years. Maybe let's start with Miss Mylene, ladies first.
Well, right now I'm in the construction business, but for the past 30 years, I was a banker myself. So I would also have the perspective of what changed with the pandemic. For one, yung face-to-face interaction with clients, that changed dramatically. So we hardly go to the branches or to the bank to transact. Plus, we had we saw the development of cash management products, which greatly helped new businesses like ours. So for us, it was really a a welcome change to have those cash management services available and also explained in layman's terms. Because before, when I was with the banking industry, I was aware of these services, but when we formed our business, it was not top of mind because we still believe that you still go physically to the bank to transact. And also, the suppliers we had are traditional Binondo based suppliers who would rather receive their payment in cash.
Mhm.
So after the pandemic, we saw more and more businesses accepting this platform for payment,
Mhm.
which is very convenient for us.
That's interesting to know, Miss Mylene. But before I ask the same question
Mhm.
to Jones, I'd like to make a follow up on. Of course, you mentioned that you've been working, with the banking industry, before you joined
Mm-mm.
another company as CFO. Um, we were very much interested with how digitalization is embraced by various industries. And syempre,
Mm-mm.
ang bangko po talaga, 'di ba? Talagang because of the
Mm-mm.
network because of the branches that you have um, in many different parts of the country.
Mhm.
How hard was it um, for institutions like banks to adopt digitalization in the banks, di ba? I'm sure
Mm-mm.
this is already innate. This is already part of the system of the DNA. But um, what about now that you are on the client side? How do you, find companies embracing digitalization? Kasi di ba, ang dami namin na-interview na
Mm-mm.
hindi sila handa doon sa
Yes.
embrace sila ng digitalization, huli na nung
Oo.
nag-pandemic na. So how do you, how was your journey and your insights naman with the other clients in terms of
Mm-mm.
embracing digitalization?
It was difficult at first, even before the pandemic happened. It was difficult because, well, PesoNet, which is a module of Digibanker, was not available then. But we were trying to bring some of our regular suppliers on board through digital banking, but not all of them were receptive. just like what I said earlier, they would rather receive the payment in cash
Mhm.
or through checks. And even those who provide credit terms, they would rather hold on to a check than to transact digitally. It was actually quite difficult. And even among the bigger companies, I was surprised that many of them are not yet doing digital or online banking. Um, it changed dramatically after the pandemic happened. I think everyone was forced into it because you don't want to go out and risk your health or kasi the first time that we had the lockdown, no nag-open, the branches were open as well, but there was always a long queue, and I didn't want my staff to be exposed there. I think Jackie Alvarino's branch has been exposed to various incidents when they were also forced to shut down. So I think among the bigger companies, they were really forced to do online banking.
Mhm.
Actually, right now, I would say only about 10% of our suppliers are still insisting to accept payment through cash. Most of them are now enrolled in DigiBanker.
And that is a huge number, huh? Kasi that's already 90%. Now,
Yeah.
thank you, Miss Mylene. I have a lot of follow-up questions there, but let's proceed to Jones. Jones, with your stellar career in banking, as I am reading your profile, sir, you've been with many banks and you have this, quite history of
Napakarami na.
so far, what has changed in the banking industry, and what do you think are the challenges of bankers like
Sure.
you?
Well, actually, for one, maganda yung sinabi ni Miss Mylene kanina, and the banks have been really ready for this. It kind of just evolved all through the years, but cash management or transaction banking has been really the advocacy, if you want to even call it that, from at least from us who are in the field. And ang importante kasi doon para sa amin is matulungan yung mga kliyente namin to be more efficient. Yun lang naman talaga yung intention. So yung disbursements, electronic disbursements, electronic collections, bills payment, yung mga PesoNet, InstaPay, pre-pandemic, it was really to be more efficient. Para less paperwork, mas madaling reconciliation ng mga CFO, ng mga finance manager, mas madaling makapagbayad, mas madaling makapagkolekta. Ganun lang kasimple ang cash management. How you make it efficient to manage the inflows and the outflows of sabi nga ni Mylene kanina, of course, not all at the time were willing to get into it. Marami naman. There are a lot of CFOs or finance teams who are into it, who've been exposed to it, and nagagawa nila. But of course, there's a big chunk of companies in the Philippines na hindi pa masyadong open. Sabihin nila, ay hindi, gusto ko, pinipirmahan ko pa rin yung cheque ko. Ayoko mag-online authorization, di ba? So, nakaban sila. Gusto ko, PDC pa rin. Ayoko ng direct credit. Yung mga ganun. Gusto ko, magbabayad ako ng physical. Ayoko ng auto-debit kung magbabayad ako ng amortization. Parang gano'n. So, marami mga ilag pa rin sa mga ganung proseso. So, it was kind of weird when the pandemic hit. The services have been there all along. Kaya lang, I guess nag-iba yung attitude or behavior, not because they want to be more efficient, but I guess, as Mylene said, they were forced to for security, safety purposes. Which is good na rin kasi doon na rin nila na-realize, ay, pwede pala to. And these products are something that can really help me, not only for safety, but then people realize, oh, it's easy pala. And it's not rocket science. Madaling gawin. Of course, we will help you how to manage, navigate through everything. But I think a lot of people realized and got exposed to it and saw that this is something I think will be a long-term thing already for most companies, which is good. It makes everything efficient. Not only for our clients, our customers, but also for the banks. Isipin nyo, it's a partnership. You have your clients, then you have your banks. If efficient rin yung banko kasi mas electronic, mas mura yung services.
Yes.
And mas efficient yung services. Hindi pagkatulad ng mano-mano, kunyari nasa branch ka. Sabi nga ni Maylene kanina, yung pila hanggang pintuan. Syempre may inis rin yung kliyente. Pero pag mas efficient ka, mas efficient yung banko, everybody happy on both sides. And everybody can function better, actually. Cesar.
Jones, I was intrigued but what you mentioned that andyan na rin naman yung mga services dati, hindi lang nagagamit. And I think I myself experienced that because I know that some of the banks are already encouraging people to go online, enroll digitally, but it wasn't done. And I agree, as Maylene also mentioned, that the pandemic forced us, COVID-19 forced us to go into digital. Pero ang tanong ko is, kasi marami din na mga Pilipinos na walang bank accounts, kaya minsan napag-uusapan namin dito yung financial inclusion, di ba? Kaya yung iba pumupunta sa e-wallets na rin. But ang tanong ko ay, ano sa palagay ninyo yung dahilan? Why are Filipinos hesitant to go into digital banking? Kasi halimbawa, one example, this is not necessarily related to banking services, but diba sa States, when you say online transaction or e-commerce, talagang you have to pay online then. You have to use your bank details. You have to transact online. Sa atin, nag-online ka pero you have to pay COD. Cash pa rin. So I think the States yata, they don't consider that as e-commerce transaction kasi cash pa rin. But at least somehow may element na ng online kasi you place your order online. So sa palagay ninyo, what are the factors maybe in terms of the Filipino behavior? So bakit maybe
kung hatiin ko yung tanong mo, one is on the individual side and one is on the business corporate side. Okay. Based on my experience in previous jobs I held on the retail side, there are a lot of challenges not only on behavior but also in terms of accessibility. Us as an industry and the regulators have been trying the past few years to provide easier access. Kaya lang, syempre, may requirements ka on IDs. Ganun lang kasimple, Cesar.
Yes.
ID na lang to open an account. Maraming hirap to even produce one. That's why you have a lot who do not have accounts in the Philippines. Second is access, kung nasaan sila. Yung iba, walang malapit na bangko na pwedeng puntahan. I guess third is really the trust in the bank. Alam mo yung it's an old cliche na sa ilalim ng unan na lang ng katre yung pera, di ba? So may ganun pa rin, maniwala ka. So but it's there. It's not really it's a mix of both behavior and also accessibility. And I think BSP, our Bangko Sentral, has been trying to address that and trying to make sure that the entry, for the bank account should be at least easier. It's progressing naman now. We've seen a lot of developments there. Dati kasi, Cesar, pag wala kang government issued ID, patay na.
Mm-mm.
O, hindi naman lahat may lisensya. Sigurado hindi lahat may pasaporte. Hindi naman lahat may, obviously may SSS rin or something. Minsan nga hindi natin na, yung mga ganon. So those were the things that really challenged the people then to open the accounts. And then tama ka on the cash on delivery. Bakit ganon? Kasi nga, one, of course, yung accounts nga, baka wala pa siyang bank account, pero meron siyang internet. So, meron siya, kaya niya mag-surf, di ba? Pero wala siyang bank account. Pangalawa, yung iba tiwala. It's really, di ba sanay tayo, kahit tayo nga, gusto mo may resibo, Mylene would know, in the corporate world, ganun yun eh. That's a challenge. Ma-relate ko lang doon. Kaya hirap rin ang electronic payments na tumakbo ng mas mabilis kaysa ngayon. Kasi by law, kailangan mag-issue ng physical OR. Wala pa ngayon na electronic ORs.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, mababayaran ko, pero meron ka pa ring leg na physical.
May paper trail pa rin.
May paper trail ka pa rin doon, di ba? So yun yung isang challenge ng industriya. Eventually, I think also the regulators are trying to look into that para end-to-end electronic ka na rin. But I mean, going back to my point kanina, maraming tao gusto may hinahawakan eh. Or kaliwaan tayo. Yung hindi ka kampante, di ba? Okay lang siguro kung barya yung in-order mo. Pero minsan, of course, for most people, pag pumatak na yun ng high hundreds or thousands, sandali lang. Hintayin ko muna yung delivery bago kita bigyan ng pera. Tapos marami ka pang fake news or makikita sa dyaryo or sa internet na, may manlulokong seller, may manlulokong ganyan. Syempre, kung hindi ka pa kampante doon, magsi-COD ka talaga. So it will take time. Those things, both on the retail and corporate side.
Now, Miss Mylene, I think you are one of the best examples of a client who somehow migrated from being a banker to corporate to being a client. So now that you are with the client side, what are those factors that you are looking for in a bank that can serve your needs and services? Lalo na ngayon, sinabi mo. I think we were telling this off cam. A lot of us are working from home. Even the biggest, di ba, companies. I think initially si Google and Twitter yata nag-declare noon na everybody should work from home. But I think there are now some pronouncements that it has to be 3 and 2, di ba? 3 in the office or 2 in the best place where you are most productive. So in your case, what are the factors now that you see, in a bank, or what are the elements, and how can these institutions, banks and corporate, really come up with a good relationship, to serve each other's requirements?
Well, for one, siguro the most important for us would be the bank that would have the most comprehensive products which will serve our needs. Like in sa cash management services, we've already signed up for 2 modules, and we use this heavily. Halos araw-araw yung PesoNet for the payment of settlement of our suppliers, and then we have the eGov payments. So kasi ngayon, I think like PhilHealth, required na mag-online banking ka na. Even Pag-ibig is also requiring online payment. So those are yung typical factors that we would look into. Second would be yung siguro customer service and support. Of course, hindi naman seamless lahat ng transactions. There will be times that something happens. Then we need a bank who can readily offer assistance. Kasi there will be banks na you would go through bureaucracy of several di ba, layers of customer service bago mo makuha yung kailangan mo. So so far we've been happy with Security Bank kasi we've had actually sa amin naman error namin actually yon na we mistakenly paid a supplier na hindi pala dapat. So we asked for assistance to reverse the transaction, and in actually in a few hours nakabalik sa amin, and then in a few days the funds were transferred back to our account. So those are the two factors that I really look at, because before we started doing cash management services with banks, inisa-isa ko muna yung mga bangko eh. Of course, kasi mas komportable ako dahil galing ako Security Bank. But tinignan ko rin yung mga ibang banks. And yun na, I chose Digibanker. Kasi nga, because of those two factors.
Yeah. Miss Mylene, I'd like to ask later on because you mentioned about Digibanker, but I'd like to go back to Jones when maybe because we're just speaking with Miss Mylene here representing that specific client or industry, pero dahil marami ding nanonood sa atin ng small businesses, baka isipin nila, baka naman ang cash management ay pang medyo large corporations lang or bigger companies who can avail of cash management system because they have a lot of cash. Paano naman yung mga small businesses? Is cash management system is it also applicable to small businesses?
Oh, most definitely. In fact, yung nabanggit ni Mylene na services, that's when you get into cash management, those are two super basic stuff that you would need. The government payments and at least man lang the fund transfers, which is basically PesoNet and InstaPay. So kahit konti o marami kang pera, kailangan mong bayad ng supplier. And you need a facility to do that. Well, una, kailangan mo bayaran ng gobyerno. Tama si Miss Mylene, ang aming, kung masasabi mong bestseller the past few months was PhilHealth. Kasi dati na yung dati nang required yung SSS, BIR, Pag-ibig. Lately lang nag-advise ang PhilHealth na, kailangan mag-online payments na rin kayo. So, halos lahat ng kliyente namin nag-sign up kasi they weren't in that module before. So that one is pretty basic that everybody needs or almost everybody. And then of course you'd want to do basic disbursements as well, which is pag fund transfers nga, you can do the fund transfer facility for within Security Bank, or for interbank transfers then you can do the PesoNet and InstaPay. For a lot of our customers, they also do check cutting facilities, pero nga mas popular na ngayon ang PesoNet eh. Pero yung iba nagche-check cutting pa rin, pero ina-outsource na fully sa amin pati releasing, Cesar. So meron kaming ganung services. Papadala mo sa amin yung kunyari si Mylene meron siyang 20 listahan ng payables niya o suppliers. Papadala niya sa amin yun electronically. Pangalan, amount, etc. I-authorize na yon, kami magpiprint ng manager's check. Tapos meron kaming releasing centers all across the Philippines. Doon na pipick upin ng supplier yung check. So parang in-outsource na ni Miss Mylene sa amin yung proseso. Marami kaming kliyenteng gumagawa pa rin ng ganon na hindi pa rin masyadong nag-evolve into the direct credit payments. Okay? On the collection side naman, ang dami naming nag-sign up ng, for example, bills payment. Hindi ka kailangan maging Meralco or maging Manila Water para mag-bills payment. Meaning, meron kaming corporate clients regular. Dati kasi pumupunta yung mga collector nila to claim the checks. Punta ko sa distributor ko, etc. or ano ko. Ngayon, nag-sign up na siya sa bills payment para yung mga magbabayad sa kanya, pupunta na lang sa branch or mag-o-online banking, then doon na lang siya magbabayad ng utang niya. So, kahit gano'n, nag-evolve rin. Dati ang bills payment, ang isip mo lang utility payments bayad kang kuryente, bayad kang tubig. Pero ngayon, nag-evolve na siya into corporate collections as well. Yun yung mga basic stuff. And then yung mga schools ngayon, ang dami nag-sign up. Ayaw na nila pumunta yung mga magulang sa eskwelahan para magbayad o mag-bills payment ka na lang sa Security Bank. So, depende ko anong negosyo mo. You have so many facilities to take a look at. Meron nga kaming wag ka matatawa, meron kaming motorized cash na nakamotor. Nag-evolve kami parang Lazada. So kunyari, hindi lang to armored car kasi armored car napakamahal. So usually tama ka pang malalaking kumpanya. Pero kunyari ikaw, kumpanya ka, meron kang cash collections, pero ayaw mo na pumunta sa bangko dahil delikado. Meron kaming authorized to by central bank obviously. Meron kaming motorized cash collectors up to about 200,000 pesos a trip. Pupuntahan ka, kukunin yung cash mo, de-deposit sa bangko para sa'yo. So, pati yun, nag-evolve. Yung mga servisyo namin ngayon para small and big, we can service your disbursements and collection service. So, those are just some examples that we have, Cesar.
Yeah, but Jones, as you mentioned various services and these evolving services that definitely please the client. It's these are the a welcome change for the client side. But ang tanong ng iba, would this incur or entail additional cost? Is the cost of digital banking somehow or utilizing digital banking a little bit more expensive for client, or is it in the long run better for everyone? Kung binabayaran mo na ngayon yung convenience I think
Sure.
As Miss Mylene also mentioned earlier, parang a lot of them are working from home, so yun na yung binabayaran mo yun, and you don't expose yourself to COVID anymore when you go outside. So in terms of cost, John, so what are how is that service evolving, and would these services still be affordable for small businesses and other clients? How is the pricing or services being presented to clients to make it somehow to encourage more people to go into the cash management system and digital banking?
Okay, actually napakadaling sagutin, Cesar. First, philosophically, sabi ko nga kanina, pre-pandemic, what cash management does is matulungan na maging mas efficient yung mga proseso nila. By that alone, it saves you a lot of money. For example nga, yung disbursements mo, yung mga check issuance mo, dati cheque, ikaw yung nag-i-issue, tapos may tao kang magre-release ng cheque. Sa collection mo, may collector ka, may runner ka. If you look at it from that perspective, the efficiency that you will get far outweighs the cost that you have if you do everything manually. On pricing, if I can answer it, generally it usually depends on kami kasi sa Security Bank, we look at the total relationship we have with the client, and we'll see the products and services that you would need, and then titingnan namin lahat ng namin doon ng pricing namin is usually customized on a per customer basis. Generally 99% of the time, this will be a cheaper alternative, not only long run but short term. Because you will save a lot of money in terms of your other expenses. Kailangan mo tingnan yun from that perspective. Not only the fees or the deposits that you'll give to the bank, but ano ba yung na-save ko sa side ko, and to be more efficient.
Yeah,
Let me just
I
add to that.
I think that's my next question to you, to Miss Mylene. So, because Jones mentioned about efficiency. So, Miss Mylene, how
Mm-mm.
do you think, in terms of efficiency, are there efficiency rates that you can, tell us? How was your experience with the Security Bank and the cash management system
Mhm.
impacted on your business delivery and business operations?
Well, pre-pandemic, we used to have a dedicated messenger and driver going around the banks to deposit payments to suppliers, or physically going to the stores to either pick up purchases or to deliver payments. Um, and right now, since I've channeled 90% to online banking now, our messengers are actually um, part of operations now. So they go to the project sites. Pag walang gagawin, they go to the project sites. Then they do the hauling or yung mga errands for the construction site. So that alone increases our efficiency. Second, kasi most of our projects are outside Metro Manila. So our payroll would normally be sent through cash remittance services. So yung transfer fees, we always incur that. Our payroll is every week. So I pay a large amount for transfer fees because it's dependent on the yung size of remittance. Right now, we haven't enjoyed it yet because it's still being processed. We're requesting for payroll services. And what we're hoping for is that we will be able to get rid of those transfer fees. Kasi ngayon, even for those who are in Metro Manila, since work from home kami lahat, I send their pay through cash remittance.
Cash pick up, nagpapa-cash pick up ka, Maylene, sa mga remittance companies.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's expensive.
Medyo, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Oo. Especially now since sinuwerte kami nung pagpasok ng 2021, sunod-sunod yung projects. So we have a lot more people now. So palaki ng palaki yung nagagastos namin for transfer fees. So that's what we're planning to save on with as soon as we get the payroll services implemented.
So that's a perfect example on savings and efficiency. You can repurpose other people. You don't need to hire more. Perfect. That's really what we want to happen for our clients who use the services.
Mm-mm.
And also,
Go ahead, Miss Mylene.
also, kasi we mentioned earlier na not everybody has access to bank accounts. Since a lot of our people are project-based, most of them do not have bank accounts. So I'm really pushing for these payroll services to push through so that they would also have an access and to encourage them to save. Kasi maraming among our construction workers, common na pag nakuha yung sahod, magiinuman na. Ubusin yan. Tapos tsaka babali the following week. So
Bali agad.
Bali ka agad pagdating ng Lunes. So ang tinatry namin to educate our workers na yun nga, to try and save a part of their earnings. So para hindi nila hawak lahat ng pera.
Mhm.
So somehow that's also what we're working on. So we're convincing our manpower, regulars at saka project-based na to gain access to bank products.
Mhm. Maganda yung pareho ninyong sinabi po na medyo nakakabigay ng pag-asa yun kasi there's a lot of businesses, lalo na nung pandemic na nagsara. But ngayon, unti-unti, nararamdaman natin, both from the client side and both from the banking side, that somehow the economy is picking up, it's opening up, and you can feel that there is some sort of development that's happening. So from the client side, before we go to Sir John, so what is your outlook on the opening of the economy, especially this year po?
For this year, we're definitely more positive. Kasi last year, we really virtually shut down. We had to dismiss some of our project-based workers. But for those especially yung skilled na mahirap pakawalan, we continued paying them kahit na walang project because we actually had several contracts na nag-cancel. By the way, we're into construction of gas stations, petroleum stations. And there was no indication back then, last year, if any of these projects will push through in 2021. And many of those who signed up, actually, we even had to return some of the down payment that were already paid to us.
At saka sorry Miss Mylene to cut you, double whammy yun kasi nasa construction ka na nga, nasa petroleum products pa, gasoline stations yun, di ba? So lalong na-stop yung transportation. So go ahead.
Yes. Oo. And even our major customers had no idea kung tutuloy pa nila yung mga expansion nila. But come 2021, by second to third week of January, we got notification from actually new customers that they're looking into doing the expansion now. Na habang hindi pa nag-open fully, they'll do all the expansions now. Lahat ng capital expenditure that they will have to spend on, they'll do it now para pag nag-open yung economy, they're already ready for a bigger capacity. So that's good news for us. So our outlook for 2021 is not necessarily positive in the sense na dito na magre-recover. Siguro at best we will just be breaking even or maybe recover some of the losses we incurred last year. But we're seeing more positive indications now. Even kasi am I allowed to
Go ahead,
mention the brands that we
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Among the bigger brands like Shell and Uni Oil, they've already said that tuloy-tuloy expansion. So construction is really picking up for 2021. I was just surprised that even the independents, the smaller businesses whom advised us before na parang wala na silang planong to go into retailing of petroleum, they're starting to call again. And then they discuss na ng mga plans nila. So I think by next year, as long as we are on track or we implement a faster vaccination rate, I think 2022 would be a much better year. Baka yun na yung recovery natin. And for us, what we're trying to do, kasi ngayon all our project sites are on lockdown. So walang lalabas. There's only one person na pwedeng lumabas for their essentials. But for those na we are newly hiring, they go through a different health protocol now. So lahat nag-COVID testing before they join us. And even those who opt to go out and to go home bago bumalik, ganun din ang health protocol. And we're intending that by second half this year, as long as the vaccines are available, we will have everyone vaccinated.
That's right. That's right. Now, I'd like to ask Sir Jones, what do you see in your crystal ball po?
Nako, I'm not a qualified economist, Cesar, ha? but on a personal note, I completely agree with Mylene. I was reading an article kanina in one of the news about GDP expectations for the year, and it's not good. It's not great. And I think Mylene was right that this year will still be just steady along until we get the vaccination. I think that will be key moving forward talaga eh. And it's a mixed bag. We have clients in different industries who are doing very, very well. You have some clients naman in several type of industries that are not doing well. So talagang it's a mixed bag of economics nowadays. And what we hope to happen by next year when everything settled down is at least majority can rise up again and grow. Mapapansin mo nga na lang, 'di ba, pag nagpupunta ka sa mga makikita mo sa labas, a lot of restaurants are shut down. Marami na munang nag-temporary shutdown, then isipin na lang daw nila pag after a few months kung magbubukas pa sila. Other services, iba naman, makikita mo, bentahan ng bisikleta, up na up. Yung mga ganyan, so hindi mo maano eh. It really yun rin nag-adapt to what the pandemic gave us. You'd be surprised on what type of industries really rose to the occasion. And yung akala mong hindi matitinag, naapektuhan sobra. So I guess unless we normalize with all the vaccinations, then we'll never really see. And but I guess we have a lot of high hopes for 2022.
Okay, now Jones, there's a lot of people who might ask how will they access Security Bank Digibanker, and how will they what are the steps in opening the business plus account?
Good question. Thank you. I forgot to mention that. And Mylene, this is a good new progress. Hindi ko alam kung may ibang bangko na nakagawa nito. Meron na kaming online account opening. Tapos yung face, dati kasi, Cesar, ang face-to-face, interview with account opening, di ba dapat pupunta ka sa branch? Para makita ko nung branch manager. Ikaw ba talaga yan? Di ba? Parang gano'n. Ngayon, ang validation is through Skype na.
Okay.
And we can complete the account opening process completely online. That's very simple. You can go to the website and you can find a link there on how to do account opening. And also, because of this pandemic, we also adapted with that account opening online. And all the most of the modules that you want to avail for cash management are also done online. So it's also there as well. If you have any challenges with that, alam ko yung iba natatakot, paano ba gawin to? Paano ba i-click to? Give your branch manager a call or a call center a call if you're not yet a customer of ours. We can definitely assist you. But all online, it's all there already, including account opening. I think that's one of the first in the industry that has happened during the COVID. And that's open for all business accounts, whether you are sole proprietorship or partnership or a large corporation. That's available for everybody po.
Now, I think we're running out of time. Maybe my last question for each of you would be, number one, what is your learning during the pandemic? A lot of people, you say that the pandemic has been a time for reflection. What have you reflected in life, during the pandemic? And second one, the other message is what can you share? What tips can you share also to employees or small businesses related to your business so they too can survive the pandemic? And how important is digital banking now in this time and age? Maybe ladies first, Miss Mylene.
Well, I guess the greatest learning from this pandemic is that basically there's there's still a lot of good in many people. And that there's a silver lining na even with this pandemic, you saw how generous people are. Even those who have limited means or resources, maraming willing tumulong. And actually dito sa mga community pantries and the donations that are going around, marami dyan nasa digital platform na rin, di ba, Jones? So,
Yeah.
yun lang ang na-realize ko before. Like, I mean, how I never thought that banks would work together to come up with a product that would make banking convenient for consumers. So, kasi dati, cutthroat ang competition, patayan talaga. Ngayon, there
Patayan
was
pa rin.
meron pa rin, syempre. Pero nagkaroon ng opportunity to work together. And yun nga, I'd like to believe na there's still a lot of good in a lot of people.
Miss Mylene, before we go to Sir Jones, maraming maliliit na negosyante din. So katulad ninyo, they are not as maybe as lucky as you, but what are your tips to them na wag mo nang mawalan ng pag-asa kundi ilaban pa? So far, what have you done, that made you realize, hey, there's still hope, hey, I should continue doing my passion? Any tips to our entrepreneurs po?
Well, aside from a lot of prayers, actually we evaluated closely where the opportunities are. Kasi we cannot keep on saying na sayang yung mga nawala, yung mga nag-cancel na construction, na contracts. Pero we tried to look for more opportunities, widen the horizon, and then for the things that you can cut on, like yung mga non-essentials, we really had to cut non-essential expenses within the company. Talagang austerity muna until siguro we can fully recover. In fact, all my children are working for the company now. Yun yung siguro yun din yung mga yun din yung surviving factor namin na whatever resources we have, yun yung ginamit namin. And with the help of my children and my husband, naitawid namin. Kasi ang importante sa amin noong last year was to survive. Kasi ayaw namin i-let go yung mga tao, yung mga workers, because their families will really suffer. So we were trying to keep everything intact. And we cut all the unnecessary expenses para makasurvive. I guess that, and yun nga, widen your horizon, look for opportunities for growth. Meron naman yan kahit maliit. Patulan mo na kung kahit maliit na opportunity for growth. Yun lang yung that's I guess what we are doing right now. We are not completely out of it yet. We're still trying to recover. And hopefully by next year we will all be out of this situation.
Thank you, Miss Mylene, for sharing that experience. And Sir Jones, your turn po.
Learnings, magandang tanong yan. Actually, nice to share that, on a personal note from an institution perspective, Security Bank, share ko lang, ang bilis namin mag-work from home like nung nag-lockdown day one. And it wasn't really because we planned na malalaman namin may lockdown, but I guess my point is being the preparedness or having been prepared for instances like this. Hindi namin pala na-realize the months before we were making sure that all our people have tools like laptops, mobile phones, yung remote emails, ganyan. It was really more for mobility and efficiency and making sure everybody can do their work from anywhere without the pandemic pa ha.
Mhm.
And when the pandemic hit, that being prepared made us more let us be ready for customers immediately. So I think that was my message that can be learned by everybody. Na, be prepared, have some foresight on what can happen also in the future. And related to that, the services that we have and our clients enjoy, hindi naman yan, Cesar, one day ginagawa. You do that years before, and you evolve and you adapt and ganyan. And ang magsusurvive na bangko are the ones who have been adapting every year in, year out. And so I think that's something that all the banks need to do for their customers. Kasi kung hindi ka mag-a-adapt, mag-aano ng bagong produkto, mag-aano ng customer service na maganda, then the clients will not come to you and will not be happy with your services. So those are the learnings I think that we realized. Ako na personal level, masarap palang kasama mo ang pamilya mo araw-araw, 'di ba? So that was one thing. I didn't realize that because you're a banker, you're out 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning para lang on time ka pumasok, and then matatapos ka anong oras na. Uuwi ka ng bahay, tulog na anak mo. And then now, I think that's my silver lining to this on what happened. You get closer to your family, to your kids, and you don't take for granted what's there. And now you see, dati yung deaths, parang ang layo sa'yo eh. May nabartayan kami isang foreigner na namatay or may ganyan. Ngayon, na people eh. So it's there. It's very close to home already. And then you realize, do not take for granted what you have and make sure that you take care of those stuff that you need to take care of. So hopefully everybody learns that as well.
Wow, thank you very much. I think that's one of the best. That's the best way to end this conversation. And we'd like to thank our partners from Security Bank for making this interview possible. I'd like to thank the CFO of More Builders Inc., Ms. Mylene Bueng Camino, and the SVP of the Transaction Banking Group of Security Bank, Jones Diokno. Thank you very much, Jones. Thank you very much, Ms. Mylene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This will be back. Stay with us.
Broadcast journalist Wayne De La Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita alas 7 ng umaga mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Wayne De La Fuente sa Balitalakayan.
Susunod sa Kesaya Saya.
Hello mga barangay! Kumusta kayo?
Mag-video call na kami ni Carding Babes. Nagtawala ng kuryente.
Tuloy ang quarantine bubbles sa ating mga lovables. Walang kukontra, walang pipigil, at walang pwedeng humadlang sa akin dahil I'm living on a jet plane. Maka-eyeball ko lang ang may babes kong si Carding.
Hello! Welcome sa aking first time online selling dito sa Katakutan Hardware.
At di rin papipigil si Kapitan sa first online hardware selling. Pero iba yata ang hanap ng kanyang mga potential buyers.
Naitinda ba kayong brief na polka dots?
At kahit anong gawin nyo, sisiguruhin ni Bebeng na magugupit niya ang mahabang kuko niya sa paa. Masakit man ito.
Sumaya tayong lahat.
Kesaya Saya, tuwing linggo, alas 6:30 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net25.
Thank you for watching Open for Business. Join us again in the next episodes of Open for Business for more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines. See you again every Saturday and Sunday here in Open for Business, where we discuss business information, deliver the latest business news to keep you informed and open for business, and be ahead of the curve from vision to action. You're on Facebook Live on Eagle News and Net25 TV, and you can watch this again in the video section of the Eagle News and Net25 Facebook pages and on eaglenewslive.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Net25 TV. Thank you again for watching. We're Open for Business. This is Cesar Vallejos. We live in interesting times.
This program is supported by Security Bank,